Hi everyone, I'm Will. I want you to close your eyes. Now, think about your favorite foods. Imagine a table full of tasty meats and breads and fruits. Okay, open your eyes. Today you're going to hear about Daniel and his friends. They were taken to Babylon, where there was lots of food. Let's watch and see what Daniel and his friends did.
Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, went with his army to Jerusalem. At this time, Jehoiakim, son of King Josiah, was the king of Judah. God allowed King Nebuchadnezzar to take over the city. Nebuchadnezzar took things from God's temple back to Babylon. He put them in the temple where he worshipped a false god. King Nebuchadnezzar told the man in charge of his leaders to bring some of the people to Babylon to serve in his palace. He wanted boys who were healthy, handsome, and good learners. Every day, King Nebuchadnezzar gave the boys a special diet. They had the same food and drink that the king had. The king planned to train the boys for 3 years before they became his servants. 4 of the boys from Judah were different than the others. They worshiped the Lord, the one true God. Their names were Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. The man in charge of the boys gave them new Babylonian names. Daniel's new name was Belteshazzar. Hananiah's new name was Shadrach. Mishael's new name was Meshach. And Azariah's new name was Abednego. Even though they weren't in Judah anymore, Daniel still wanted to obey God. God's law told Daniel what he could and could not eat. Daniel was not allowed to eat some of the food from the king. Daniel asked for permission to eat other foods, but the man in charge was afraid. If you don't eat the king's food, you will get thin. You won't be strong like the other young men. The king might get angry with me and kill me, he said. Daniel said, "Try this for 10 days. Let us eat only vegetables and let us drink only water. Then see if we are healthier than the other young men." The guard agreed to change their diet for 10 days. At the end of 10 days, Daniel and his friends looked healthier than the young men who had eaten the king's food. After that, the guard allowed Daniel and his friends to keep drinking water and eating vegetables. God was happy that Daniel obeyed him. God blessed Daniel and his friends. He made them wise and smart. When their 3 years of training was over, Daniel and his friends stood before the king. The king talked to them and saw that they were smarter and stronger than all the other young men. They were even smarter than the wise men who worked for the king. Daniel stayed and served the king for many years. Daniel chose to obey God no matter what. God blessed Daniel and his friends. Daniel wasn't perfect, but he reminds us of someone who was. Jesus obeyed God perfectly, and he always pleases God. We please God when we trust in Jesus.
I wonder if it was hard for Daniel and his friends to not eat the king's food. They loved God and wanted to obey him. Even though they were taken captive in Babylon, Daniel and his friends stayed faithful to God, and that made God very happy.